You're listening to Lore Friendly with Kris Takahashi and Alice Bell.
Hi guys, Happy New Year, even though we already said
Yay.
it because we definitely didn't record our Happy New Year episode in advance.
That was a mouthful. Did you have that written down?
No, I just came up with it off the top of my head.
You're amazing.
New Year, new me.
Yeah.
I'm great at improv now.
How was your actual New Year's?
My actual New Year's was fantastic. I went down south, which is unusual for me.
What does that even mean? The South is like London or?
It's, I don't know, it's a nebulous concept that changes depending on who you ask.
Okay, because technically I could walk 10 paces south and that would technically be going south, but I wouldn't be actually going anywhere special. I'd still be in the same town.
I think generally anywhere further than Birmingham probably is where I'd put the dividing line between north and south.
Is there like a scenery change, accent changes?
There's a definite accent change.
You're in Oz, more or less. Scarecrows, Tin Men.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a completely different world. They don't put gravy on their chips down there, which is insane.
What? People put gravy on their chips?
Dude, have you not tried this? Like chips as in fries.
Okay, people put gravy on their fries?
Yeah. It's fantastic. It's the best thing in the world.
Yeah, I think I stick with salt.
Right, have you it's basically poutine but without the cheese. You know, the thing that they have up in Canada.
Keep in mind, I don't put ketchup or ranch or any of that other stuff on my fries. I'm just fries and salt. Chips and salt.
You have not lived, Kris. You have not lived.
I'm just a very plain person.
The best thing in the world is to have, like, I don't know, a steak pie or something, but instead of having potatoes with it, you have chips, and you cover it in gravy, and it is the most beautiful thing you will ever have in your life. Swear down.
I know if I ever move to England, I'm going to be south of the border. I'm going to be in Oz, in Birmingham, with the Tin Man and the Cowardly Lion, and the fries with no gravy.
No, you need to be more southern than Birmingham. Birmingham's like the Midlands. It's neutral ground between the north and the south.
Oh.
And they speak like they're from Birmingham. That's how they speak. That's kind of Liverpool, now that I think about it. I can only say Birmingham in a Birmingham accent, so Brummy is the term.
Birmingham.
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 To any of our listeners who are from Birmingham, we're very sorry.
You don't say the G? Is it just like Birmingham?
Birmingham? Nah, you like roll the N to the G. So
yeah,
Birmingham.
it sounds like you're burning people. I'm burning them. I didn't have
yeah.
a guillotine ready, so I decided to light a match and just try burning them.
I'm never going to be able to unhear that now, Kris. Thank you. Thank you for... Now I'm going to think that all people from Birmingham are psychopaths. They probably are. Sorry if you're from Birmingham. Again.
Psychopaths and pyromaniacs, apparently.
Yeah. Psychopaths, pyromaniacs, the whole shebang. But yeah, we went down to Bristol, which is down south, as we like to say up here. And yeah, it was amazing. My friend has a really fancy flat, so we got to like crawl out onto the balcony and drink Prosecco on the balcony whilst watching all the fireworks. It was fantastic. I have never felt so fucking classy in my life.
Did you have like a goblet of wine that you could stir in your mouth and then spit out like a rich person?
No. Why would I spit out alcohol?
Because isn't that what they do? They just taste it, they don't drink it.
I'm not that fucking fancy.
Oh, okay.
Don't waste good wine.
Well, you still got levels to go.
I'm never going to be that fancy, Kris. Never.
There are levels to this. It's like that Kendrick Lamar song says. You're just like mid-fancy.
I'm not even mid-fancy, Kris. Let's face it. I am the least fancy person in the world.
You gotta be a little bit more south than burning them.
Oh. Speaking of New Year's resolutions, I went to the fucking gym for the first time in 2 months. And I can't breathe, so if I start having a coughing fit instead of a laughing fit in this episode, there you go. Ah!
You know what I did for New Year's?
What did you do, Kris?
I don't know because I was asleep. I think I went to bed at like 11:30.
Aww. You didn't even finish off your rum. Why would you not finish off your rum?
I don't know. Maybe because it tastes like it was from burning.
To be fair, it would probably help in Birmingham.
You could use it to light people up.
Light 'em up, light 'em up.
It was probably earlier than 11:30 because I wanted to get in before the fireworks started happening, so it'd be hard to sleep because it's like booming outside.
You're like a dog. Ow. Ow.
That's pretty much how it works. I also poop outside, so yeah, it makes sense.
Wait, you what? No, Kris, what? That was a joke, wasn't it?
Yes. Yes, Alice.
I was like, no, I swear we've had a conversation about your toilet and how you poop before.
Yeah.
And you never mentioned that this toilet was outside. It took me a minute.
Do people in England poop outside? I mean, it's just like a normal thing. Like, how would you not realize that was a joke?
We do have outside toilets.
In your head, you're almost like, oh, he's one of those people, the outside poopers.
Okay, so in some houses in England, we have outside toilets. And I live in a Victorian house when I'm at home, and we have an outside toilet. It is ideal for parties, because if someone's in the bathroom upstairs, you just shove people outside in the outside toilet.
Okay, because like we have outside toilets too, but
right.
In America we just call them lawns.
Call them what? Are you fucking hell, Kris? I'm tired.
We call it the front lawn.
Don't do this to me, Kris. I'm tired. Don't do this. Why would you do this to me? I'm delicate and I'm tired.
The public park is another place.
Oh, fuck off.
There's plenty of places to do your business. Outside toilet.
Fuck, I'm dying. Fuck off. I hate you so much, Kris. Do not take the piss out of me. This is not the time of year to take the piss out of me.
So what are we going to talk about this new year? What would you like to talk about? Moving on to an actual podcast business.
I'm unintentionally doing dry January and also veganuary because I'm poor.
What the hell is that? Those aren't even words. It's like burning them.
Right, dry January is where you don't drink for the month of January.
Oh, okay.
Which I need to do because I've got a shit ton of coursework due in on the 25th.
That's not a very creative term. It's not like even a portmanteau, because usually like a portmanteau you combine words together to make a new word.
Like Movember or Stoptober.
That is catchy, but dry January, it's not even an effort. It's just sticking the word dry in front of the month name.
What about Drynuary?
Ah, there you go. It's hard to say though, huh?
Why don't they have me in charge of the branding? Come on, guys.
January dry. No, that doesn't work. That was awful.
Janudry.
Janudry, there you go. You move a syllable. But then it doesn't sound like January, so I guess that's why they call it dry January. Anyways, moving on.
But yeah, I've not had alcohol in over a week because I'm too busy focusing on my coursework. And it's not even because I can't afford alcohol. I have alcohol in my cupboard.
Do you feel better? Do you feel more energetic? Or are you like Bender who needs alcohol to survive? It's like your fuel.
Well, I feel fine. Like, I'm not a super heavy drinker anyway. Contrary to popular belief and contrary to what I may lead people to think on this podcast. But I like to have like a drink a week kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or a lot of drinks a week where I go out and I get wankered.
Real Alice is different than character Alice, right?
What? Yeah. Yeah. Like, actual me is completely different to the alcoholic, fun-loving, hopeless person who you hear on this podcast. Yeah. I'm giving the worst smile ever, but again, we can't see it, so you don't know. I could be anything right now.
Yeah. Even a sober person.
I am sober.
Yeah. Exactly.
For once.
Wink, wink. I'm winking right now. You can't tell, but
thank you. Thank you for informing me of that. I'm winking back at you. Ow. Don't exercise, kids. But yeah, when I got back from the library yesterday, after a 12-hour session, I was very tempted. Very, very tempted to just go to the shop and get a beer, but I didn't. You know?
You seem very proud of yourself for something that most people
am.
just do normally.
Plus, there's also the fact that I didn't have enough money in my bank account to get beer, so
There you
there's
go.
that as well.
I mean, I didn't drink for the past month, but you don't see me gloating about it.
It's different, Chris. It's different when you're in a habit. You should be proud of me for taking good care of my liver for once in my fucking life. For once in my fucking life, Chris. And this is how you treat me?
I don't even have to drink here because we have weed now. It's legal and you can buy it.
Yeah, we don't have that because our government's a bunch of pricks. That's the word. Really doing a lot of favours to the interpretation that I am actually sober. Because I can't pronounce words. Jesus Christ.
I guess that's how it happens the further you go up north.
Yeah, we just switch vowels around, you know, roll our R's a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Mess up words completely.
I'm going to have to watch
you know.
the new Doctor Who with subtitles pretty much.
That is going to be so funny.
So
A Yorkshire accent is hardly marketable to a US audience. It's going to be very interesting.
It's like they're deliberately
I'm
trying
also
to shut out viewers.
Yeah, but I'm also doing Veganuary, which is where you go vegan for a month. And now, if you recall, on some of our earlier podcast episodes, I might have mentioned that I was vegan for a while. And I'm just hiccuping into the microphone. But, yeah, I decided to do that again.
Okay.
Mainly because I can't afford meat. Mainly because I can't afford dairy. Because, again, January is the season of not having any money.
Yeah, meat. I mean, it's not good in general. It's bad for the environment. It's bad for people. It's just, yeah. So it's...
But yeah, there are ethical reasons for going vegan. And I do feel a lot better when I'm not eating dairy and stuff.
Yeah, dairy's also bad for you, unless it's like yogurt or cheese or something. But everything else is bad. Like cow tit is bad.
Don't tell Luke that.
Yeah. The counterpoint to that is that meat tastes good, so...
I don't know. Like, doing the whole vegan thing, it means that, like, you have to be a bit more creative with your cooking. And I am a fucking sick cook when I actually, like, sit down and cook something. Well, stand up and cook something, because I'm not going to cook something sitting down, because that would be stupid.
Are you allowed to eat, like, plant-based or lab-based meat? Lab-created meat, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
I can't afford that.
Oh, I'm sure it's more expensive, huh?
Is that even commercially available, Chris?
I saw it in the market the other day. It was like...
Really?
Yeah, it was like... it's maybe only a local
What?
thing. Because, like, maybe the lab is here in California, so it's, like, easy to distribute.
Yeah, we don't have that kind of shit in Nottingham.
You have a sheriff, though. Yeah, so... what else are we going to talk about? We went on for, like, 10 minutes just talking about nothing.
That is our brand, Chris.
So we're all caught up for New Year's.
Yes.
You're sober and vegan. I'm still tired and lazy.
Happy New Year.
You see how I summed up my experience in like 10 seconds there?
New Year, new you, Chris.
I'm much more concise.
Yeah, we're meant to be filling up airtime, Chris. You're meant to go off into long, winding tangents that you haven't really thought through, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, what else? Do we want to talk about the ModDrop thing? We're gonna talk...
Sure, why not?
We kind of skipped over this because we were recording a lot of episodes in advance over Christmas. Because, you know, time...
Plus, like, we weren't really paying attention.
Yeah, we don't do that. So, we're coming, bringing you the hot gossip a month late.
Yeah. The hot gossip that happened back in November.
It didn't happen back in November, did it?
I don't know.
The sources I've got are saying...
Oh, that's right. In Movember.
Did you hear the face palm?
You're, like, making a face.
Did you hear the face palm? Ow,
Yes.
ow, no.
I heard the awkward silence.
I just slapped my head to try and make the
my
face
dad
palm
joke.
sound like a face palm, and instead I just hit my head. Ah. So, ModDrop.
So, but yeah, big news.
So,
Can you explain to me what it is? Because I do not still have a grasp of what it is that we're talking about here. Someone alerted me to the fact that this thing existed, and I had a hard time caring. But yeah.
Okay, so
Explain to us.
basically, from what I've gathered from my 10 minutes of research, because this is a really well-prepared podcast as ever, basically there was a new service release that was being advertised, I think, as an alternative to the Nexus. And it only really blew up when MXR mods started. You know how he does the MXR mods series where he highlights his favorite mods and things like that, like
Right.
every week and stuff. Apparently, he started using the ModDrop service because with the ModDrop service, you can basically bundle together a lot of mods from other sources, so say the Nexus, and then compile them together. So he'd say at the end of the episode, okay, so you can download the mods here. And
So it's a mod pack service, right?
from what I can gather, yes. And so he was basically taking the mods that he'd highlighted as part of his show and uploading them to ModDrop, and that's when ModDrop really blew up, and it turned out that there were a lot of stolen mods, basically, that were being uploaded to the service and not
Right.
being credited with their proper authors, is what I've gathered. And so some authors, such as, how do we pronounce Eleonora's name? Is it just that Eleonora?
I think you just said it. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Friend of the show, Eleonora.
yeah. So, like big mod authors like Eleonora started putting their stuff on private because obviously they've put a lot of work and effort into the mods that they upload, and if they're going to get stolen without credit, you know.
So basically to draw attention to the issue.
I'm not sure on why Eleonora did it, but I can understand, like, if your mods are being stolen, you're going to want to hide them from the public for the foreseeable future to kind of prevent any more mods from being stolen. Because it's your hard work, it's your assets, it's your coding.
Yeah. Good for her. Like, she's like really good about like doing all that, like standing
Yeah.
up for the community and all that.
Friend of the show.
Unlike me, who basically heard the news, heard that interesting NPCs was included, and just shrugged his shoulders.
But Kris, they've stolen, like, all of our voices.
Well, have you ever heard of like the Zen koan? Like, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, does it really make a sound?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like in the same vein. If something has no monetary value and someone tries to steal it, is it really stolen? Like you're basically trying to steal something that has zero value. It's more or less, I want to say it's like Dogecoin, but Dogecoin is actually like ballooned up in the
Yeah.
past weeks. So.
Okay, so let's word it like this. So, say if interesting NPCs got taken and uploaded to this service without properly crediting you, you have a Patreon. It isn't for modding, but it is how a lot of people know you. Because we're not allowed to do Patreons for modding.
Oh, right, but no one's going to ever take that from me. Like,
No, but the fact that you're not being credited for your work means that
Yeah.
potential audience who would be willing to donate to you or support your work won't be able to because they can't find your Patreon or your PayPal or whatever.
well, it's not that how they're going to make money. The way they're going to make money is by aggregation. Like, interesting NPCs doesn't have any value. It has zero value on its own, like, as a product to be
Excuse
sold,
me,
right?
it's got me in it. It's got a ton of value. I make it worth at least 1 cent.
It might have creative value that we hold on dearly to validate our lives. It may hold sentimental value, which we also cling to validate our lives and our work. But monetary value has 0. But what it does have, when you combine it with other mods, like if you aggregate 100 mods together, that together as an aggregate can have value in terms of just ad revenue, stuff like donations, stuff like that. And that's how basically Nexus works. Nexus works by being this aggregator, being this hub, this community place where people can download mods. And individually, each mod may not bring in much in terms of revenue, but collectively, just as a site,
because of advertising.
And it's basically how, a lot of sites work like that. Like Reddit, for example. Reddit, I mean, all the content is community driven, right? But it's not like your individual shit posts that are making money. It's the collective together that makes money. And so mod packs in general, I think, try to like take advantage of that kind of advertising. The difference with Nexus is they actually have everyone's permission. I mean, I'm assuming the issue with ModDrop was the same issue that Bethesda.net encountered, where people were uploading things without the author's permission, as opposed to something wrong with mod packs in general, which is a completely separate issue.
Yeah. It was basically a lot of community compiled mod packs, but instead of compiling the Nexus files, I think, it uploaded them to their own servers and thus removed author credit and things like that, is what I've gathered.
Yeah. Well,
we're like way behind.
Like the main problem with that, the fundamental issue is, are they downloading and updating the mods in the pack with the most recent version? So like if you're releasing a mod pack and it's constantly like pulling from a legitimate site, or if it's constantly being updated by the author themselves, then it would probably fundamentally still work. If you have a mod pack and it's just a bunch of downloaded mods and it's like the old versions of those mods and they may have bugs in it that never get fixed, then that becomes a problem. If they're uploading it without the author's permission, see, that's when it starts to get sketchy.
So it's going to be all the dead versions that have all the bugs in them, that have all the incompatibility issues and all that.
Yeah, so that's one issue. The other issue is that mod authors want people to visit their individual description pages
to actually figure out how the mod works and how you have to install it and what is incompatible with, because that reduces the stupid bug reports.
Yeah, because there is sort of merit to having each individual user put in the legwork to visit the page, to read the description, to know where the bug report threads in the community stuff is. So even though it's less convenient, there's definitely a merit to having your users, filtering your users through this kind of instructional program to get them to properly use your mod.
Yeah.
And the other interesting news is that based on the comments made by the site owner of Nexus on this Reddit thread, they've actually heavily considered the concept of mod packs. So I don't know, if enough people want it, they might actually introduce it.
Yeah.
Either way, it's just more trees falling in the forest for me. I don't know if I care. Anyways, long story short, I think ModDrop, the site, did remove the ability for users to upload mod packs, so they're not doing that anymore. And the site owner apologized.
Yes, they apologized. He put up a lovely video apologizing.
So that covers that. What else did we have on our agenda?
I don't think we have anything else to talk about. You can get a good 10 minutes out of this.
Yeah, we're actually on like 40 minutes.
Oh shit, now. What? Mate, what the fuck? Yeah, we can get something decent out of this. Next week I will think of more things for us to actually talk about. But I was just too busy living in the library. Because that is my best life now. Living in the fucking library.
What should
Professionals! We need to find a TV show. Everybody in the comments, vote on what TV show you want me and Kris to watch and cover. Preferably not Star Trek, because I am so behind and I don't have the time. So a recent TV show or movie that is coming out in time for next week. Otherwise, I'm going to make Kris watch Pitch Perfect.
Oh, you know what?
You sound really excited about that.
Well, I'm not excited about the movie itself, but one of the actors in Interesting NPCs, I think, is in that movie. I don't know if he has like any speaking parts. Yeah.
What?
Kane Manoli? He plays, I don't know, somebody in Pitch Perfect. At least he said that on Twitter.
What? Holy shit.
He plays Boden in the Anam Quest, and he is in Pitch Perfect 3. He's credited as Henry.
Holy shit. God damn, Kris, you've got all the big time actors.
Yeah. I don't know if he has any speaking roles. Maybe he's just in the background doing a dance or something.
I'm definitely going to have to go and watch Pitch Perfect 3 now, because I was looking for an excuse. Now I have one.
Now we have one. Maybe we should cover it.
Yeah. Why not? Let's
No, I'm not.
Pitch
Is
Perfect.
It a theater movie? I am not going to the theater to watch that movie. There is no fucking way. So
I think you can get the first Pitch Perfect on Netflix.
Yeah.
You're not going to do that, are you? You're not going to do that.
I do love Anna Kendrick. She's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
She does that whole cups thing.
She's cute. Yeah, the cups thing was also in Pitch Perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is the origin of the cups thing, but the cups thing is
it's a
there.
YouTube thing that Anna Kendrick like learned, I think. See, I know more about this movie than you do, and I haven't even seen it.
It's a bad good movie. I've watched it a couple of times.
Just a couple?
Just a couple. Maybe 10. At least.
Maybe a dozen. Let's just make it a dozen.
Let's just make it a good round baker's dozen. Because that makes it 13 instead of 12.
Let's just go for 15 times.
Let's just go for 100. It's fine. No, alright, so, any suggestions on what you want us to watch that preferably doesn't involve leaving the house?
Yes.
Suggest. And we'll watch it, and we'll react to it.
Alright, so tune in next week for that.
Goodbye, everyone. Sleep
Goodbye.
tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite.
And now for the second part of this podcast, we're going to bring on Unoctium to talk about Star Trek Discovery, which the second half of season 1 just started last weekend. So did you watch the show, and how was it?
I did watch the episode. I will probably get into it. I'm sure I enjoyed it in a bit. What about you?
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I'm pretty easy to please.
Oh, right.
But the whole concept of a mirror universe is interesting. It's fun. You get all these kind of interesting scenarios that crop up.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of the whole concept? I mean, we're basically departing from that whole first 7 episodes. Or was it 9 episodes?
Yeah.
And just going and jumping into a completely different storyline, new universe, but technically an old universe, in that we've actually been to this universe before in some of the older series, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was in the original Star Trek as maybe a single episode, and then it was sort of brought back in Deep Space Nine as but that was way in the future of this universe, and then it was an Enterprise last time, really. So
it's a bit of a callback. It's a place that we've seen before in some respects.
Yeah, right? The problem is when you decide to do the episodes like that, are you going to make it cheesy and ridiculous, or are you going to try and sell it seriously, as it were? Because,
Yeah. There were elements that were a bit campy, like we'll get into it later, but the agonizer one.
Yeah. I mean, the agonizer was in the original series episode, so.
Yeah, I believe it was some kind of device.
Yeah, it was basically a room that the actor would walk into and then just throw himself against the wall, and things. It was save the cost and torture equipment and stuff.
Yeah, did they scream like that?
I mean, in the original series, they screamed everything, so everything was melodramatic. So
yeah,
it was kind of
You would think that they would put some kind of soundproofing on that whole thing.
Well, maybe they want to hear the pains of their victims, I suppose.
Okay, because you'd think it would get a little bit annoying, if you had to work there for 10-hour shifts and it's just constant screaming.
It gets better and better, and they love as their victims break. Yeah.
Oh, that's true. It's like music to them. They would really love death metal, I think, if they went to our universe. But besides the agonizer, what did you think of the whole mirror universe?
When I first, I was like, oh, where are they and stuff like that. And then it was it's the mirror universe, and then like I felt like the way the universe was introduced was kind of a bit bland. Like I think there's a better way to sort of, a more exciting and dramatic way to let the viewers in. But no, it was a sort of communication from another ship that said, "Oh, you're afraid of fighting some rebels," and then it was like 20 minutes of exposition, where I didn't think it was done the best way, if you know what I mean.
Right. There was a bit of action at the beginning
Yeah.
to kind of introduce that, the people who are normally friendly aren't, and sort of give the obvious clue that it's not the same universe. But that sort of went by so quick. It was mostly exposition after that.
Well, it was the security officer, I forgot his name. Was it Tyler? Yeah, Tyler. Tyler's plot probably took the precedence. So all the action scenes and all the sort of sequences revolved around him. So getting the data core, for example, was him saying, "Oh, am I going to slip?" or and things like that. So there wasn't actually, like, it didn't really focus on the mirror universe part. So
yeah, the whole Tyler thing was something that was carried over from the previous storyline. So
yeah.
I don't know if it meshed particularly well with this one.
Yeah, it just wasn't really interesting to me. In the first 20 minutes, they basically got all the info they needed on the Empire, the Terran Empire. And basically they had leverage over them. Like, the Terran Empire is basically completely unaware at this point, and basically theirs to play with effectively because they know all the information. The Terran Empire doesn't. So that kind of made that story kind of slightly unexciting, and like, and the only sort of good parts of it is you just wanted to see, the mirror universe parts rather than being engaging. If you know what I mean.
See, I like the mirror universe not as a plot device necessarily, but more as a character building tool.
Yeah.
So a good example, I think, is Captain Killy, who I thought was amazing. On the one hand, you could say that it was just done for cheap laughs, but on the other hand, there's a part of her that actually has ambition to be a captain, and so the mirror image was kind of a reflection or a warped funhouse reflection of who she really is. So there are certain things that we can infer about Tilly's character based on her reflection. So even though I didn't feel like the mirror universe was like properly introduced, like I agree with you in that respect as far as a plot device. As far as just like a window into the characters, I did think it was done pretty well, especially with Captain Killy. I thought that was really
yeah.
good,
I like that joke.
sequence.
But it was kind of like they kind of made the joke and then quickly got it out of the way. I mean, the actual Captain Killy only appeared on the screen for about 1 second before they said, "Oh,
Yeah,
joke's
that's
over with. Now time to go back to Tyler." In his creepy, weird sex fantasies and things like that.
Yeah, but I also think for like Lorca, right? He was a bit of a rebel in his own universe, and in this universe, he's sort of rebelling against the natural order, even though it paints him more in a positive light, because he's rebelling against like the human Nazis, who are more or less like racists and like against all the other species. We have Burnham, who's sort of kind of domineering in the normal universe, and in this universe she's taken that to a step further. So it's kind of like it's like one of those funhouse mirrors where they're warping aspects of themselves, and so we kind of learn a little bit more, I think, about the characters.
It's like as soon as she meets the captain of the Shenzo or whatever, and he's like a wee wimp, or what, he's like none of the crew respect him, so he decides to gain respect by trying to kill her, but then she kills him. And then it's like the scene straight after, she's like, "Oh, the universe is corrupting my mind. I'm being transformed." And you're like, what?
We get the slow clap. Yeah. Did you like that slow clap? That was pretty funny. That was another thing that was pretty campy.
Yeah.
The slow clap. Going back to the agonizer too, I did like the fact that she was trying to help Lorca by telling the crew member to have him installed properly, not realizing that in this universe that means torture him.
Right, yeah. Jeez.
But yeah, any other thoughts on the mirror universe?
I just really didn't like the fact that they basically got this, floppy disk of all the information of the universe, and basically could just look up something that they wanted to take advantage of. It just took the tension right out of it.
It was the Wikipedia page.
Yeah, it's just like the Wikipedia page of the Terran Empire. It was just, I mean, I think that might be apart from that. No, that's actually the first time chronologically that someone from that universe has visited the mirror universe, and immediately they gain an advantage over them, and it's just kind of shit. So like the mirror universe from the original series happens 10 years from the series, so like now that's the first time, because in Enterprise they didn't actually visit the mirror universe. It just took place in the Enterprise mirror universe, and Archer, the captain of that series, found out about this universe's Archer by the Defiant, which was mentioned in this episode, which is a future ship, Constitution class it mentioned, by it falling through a crack into the mirror universe, and then Archer boards the Defiant and finds out all about the Enterprise crew, which actually begins to affect his mind because he feels inferior in the mirror universe. So it's actually a really good episode, actually. And that's the kind of plot of this. So this is actually the first time these characters have been to the mirror universe. So the point that they actually encounter any mirror universe people, and the mirror universe people realize who they are, it'll be the first time.
In fairness, in previous iterations, there's always like a one-off. So in this instance, it's just one episode in a longer series of episodes. So we don't know where it's going at this point, but I guess the question is, where do you want to see it go from here?
Well, rather than like looking through Tyler's like sexual fantasies and things like that, and him just killing doctors and things like that, I would have rather seen like an actual encounter with a Terran officer and him encountering the culture of the Federation, and him and there being drama about it. Like he realizes what the Federation is, and they realize what the Empire is, and then there's like this thing where they both compare, they both stare each other down about their morals and things like that. I thought that would have been really like that would be cool. That would actually be Star Trek.
Well, we could have a confrontation with the other Discovery.
Yeah. Well, there was an anime once. It's not the same thing, but like this is how I think they could have done this better. There was an anime called Zippang, which was actually kind of like the film Final Countdown, but it only takes place in Japan though. And the story of that is a modern Japanese. That's like a story where like a American ship goes back in time to World War II. That's like an old film. But in this anime, it's like a Japanese warship goes back in time to World War II, and like they just miss the Battle of Midway, and they pull on a Japanese naval officer from that time, and basically there's obviously a culture clash. But that's where a lot of the drama in that anime comes from, the fact that they have a Japanese naval officer from World War II, and there's a lot of cultural confrontation and things like that, and he basically finds out that Japan lost the war, and there's that kind of drama. So how I think they could have done this better would they wouldn't encounter that Vulcan ship, for example. They might pull on a human survivor, that they might scan a wreck and find like a human survivor like barely surviving, and then they realize when the human turns violent or something like that they're in the same universe. So you slowly build it up rather than immediately revealing the mirror universe and then having 20 minutes of them, playing dress up. So
they kind of did that though with Tyler. They picked him up and he's now like a crazy person. Yeah,
basically, like anyone could say this guy was not nutcase.
Well, he's actually a Klingon, right? According to this episode,
he's fuck.
Is he?
I think he might be. Yeah.
Is he? Yeah. They like messed with his bones or something, or is he like fuck and they like turned him human? Like they.
I think he's fuck. They just turned him human like completely.
That's interesting.
The kind of turning points in the show you can see from like 3 episodes off. It's just like the episodes like the drama's building. It's like, oh, could it be the Klingon? And you're like, we know, we knew 20 minutes ago, and it's like we know it's the mirror universe. We know it's this. We know, and it's like,
it does seem like the power of love might save him though. Seeing as how the transformation didn't take, so maybe love will save his soul. Maybe he'll retire and become a wedding planner or something instead of a soldier.
I mean, he did destroy a loving couple, so he's obviously can do that. But
another cheesy moment, the classic neck twist, neck snap thing. Does that actually work?
Yeah.
Can you actually kill somebody by turning his neck to the side and making a...
Well, you're snapping the spinal cord, aren't you?
Are you? Can you do that?
Yeah. You just like you tighten it, like you shorten it to its most shortest point, and then you quickly turn, and then the guy's thing.
It always felt like a cheesy like Hollywood thing that doesn't actually happen in real life.
Well, that's interesting because I actually looked this up. I was looking this up that Hollywood has its own sort of banked fighting styles. Like Chinese fighting style and things like that have kind of been worn away over the years, but basically it's what Hollywood turned to create like a murder scene or a fight scene, for example. So that might be like one of the old ones from the 60s or something like that, and there was some old guy saying, "This is how you kill someone."
Okay. Yeah.
So for example, like when they film like a medieval film, and the people fighting that, they don't fight like people from medieval times. They fight like Chinese people from the 1900s. Like the Chinese sword fight, like they move really quickly, and they quickly dash at each other. Where European sword fighting is completely different. So, but the reason why it's that way is because a lot of fighting choreograph experts in Hollywood learned the Hong Kong style. So
nice. By basically just looking up the Wikipedia page.
Pretty much, yeah. It's pretty much how they learned about the Terran Empire. Yeah, so.
Yeah, the other thing we learned is that the Terran Empire version of Discovery is now in the normal universe, in the original universe.
Yes, and as far as we know, it still has its spore drive active.
And Captain Killy is running the show.
Yeah, it must be like devastating them. Like if it finds out where it is, it's basically destroying everybody right now. Because it could basically just jump around and kill everyone.
Just imagine the scene when they board a Federation space station or something, and they see all these other races getting along and living in harmony. They're going to be absolutely livid.
Yes.
I mean, they're basically space Nazis at this point, right?
Pretty much, yeah. They're going to just arrive and they're going to have a panic attack or something like that, yeah.
So
what did you think of Fox when you found out it was the Klingon guy?
Oh, I didn't realize it was him at first, actually. Normally when they introduce this kind of like sleeper agent character, it's a whole brainwashing bit, like a Manchurian candidate. Like I think they actually said the word Manchurian, right, in this episode. Yeah, where he's a human, but he's just been sort of indoctrinated into whatever army is trying to use him. But in this case, they had that whole twist where they said, there's nothing on the brain scans that show you've been brainwashed, quote unquote brainwashed, right?
Well, they did notice he was brainwashed because his entire mind was made up. Because they basically put a personality on top of the old personality.
And so the twist is it isn't actually a traditional brainwashing. He's actually a Klingon.
Yeah, and the human personality is just like the thing on top.
Yeah.
And kind of breaking down and things like that. So whenever someone challenges him and says, your bones are all fucked up, he just kills them. So, yeah.
So that's, just a reminder just to not talk shit about his bone structure, because he's very sensitive about that, yeah.
He's very sensitive about being short, or being used to being tall. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I just don't think the drama of the. I mean, and you I suppose you'll like it, but like I just feel like the drama's a bit off. So he's the Klingon sleeping agent, but he can be redeemed from killing everyone because he's in love with Michael.
I don't like that part. I hate like those kind of campy, cheesy storylines, especially like the power of love overcomes all, but at the same time you committed all these crimes that are irredeemable.
I don't mind romantic storylines if they've got like an actual romance about them, or there's an actual drama about them, but this just feels kind of stupid. Like,
yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I don't know. It just feels that the crimes that he's committing are the kind of irredeemable crimes, but at the same time, I suppose Burnham is the sort of person who doesn't really follow the rules. She's like known as a mutineer, as a criminal, so maybe that sort of works with her.
Yeah, I think Michael would probably have like a romance, probably like a platonic romance with the captain. Probably wouldn't have been the better relationship. But what I mean by that is that Lorca would have been doing like questionable things, and because she was a prisoner and has all these emotions, she would go along with it, and that would be the tension, obviously.
Yeah, and she would be conflicted about it because she wants to be good.
But the series never explores that. It seems to think this Klingon thing is more interesting. So I don't understand why they just don't go and say, oh, this trope works, but rather they just they're trying to, I don't know, I'm not sure what they're trying to do. And this like mirror universe thing, it kind of like, I know you talked about you watching the original series or the Enterprise episodes beforehand, but I might advise that because I think they might be actually be better than this. The Deep Space Nine ones are different because that involves a scenario where the Terran Empire loses in the future, and all the aliens take over. So obviously there's a different dynamic. But in the Enterprise one and the original series one, there's definitely this cheesy Imperial Nazi thing going on. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just interested more or less not in the universe itself. I'm sure that's been explored not just in earlier Star Trek episodes, but in just sci-fi in general, right? The concept of parallel universes, the sort of moral dilemmas and the philosophical dilemmas that lie therein. For this particular show, I'm just interested in how the mirror universe is gonna show or explain more about the identities of the characters that we do care about. So it's just more of a device to kind of learn more about the people on the crew. So like Killy, like I mentioned earlier, in the case of Killy, we know that she was ambitious. We know that she wanted to be captain, but we didn't know that she could be this ruthless. And I think the mirror universe is more of just an extrapolation of pieces that are within her. You know, like they may not be outwardly shown all the time or ever, but it's a different version of her, but it is still her. It's not just like done for cheap laughs. You know what I mean?
To be honest, I think it's mostly done for cheap laughs.
Okay.
Unless they come back to the universe and Captain Killy's destroyed everything of her whole.
Well, unless there's another scene later where she shows that side of her, where she like backstabs somebody or does something ruthless. I think that would be a good way to continue her arc. Like, there was actually a scene in this episode where she's like, "That's not me. I would never do those things." But if she did something like that, I think it would give it more weight. But, I mean, she doesn't necessarily have to do it because that would make her evil, but she needs to be tempted, or that side of her needs to manifest itself in a certain way that we haven't seen before.
I know. It's just like whenever they do these character scenes, they kind of lose me because they seem to change the protocol every episode. So like it feels like they're pretending to do character scenes, but in reality they're the same people that have been they've been the same two-dimensional people since the third episode or something like that. So I mean, other people might think that they're growing. I just don't feel that, or maybe I'm just too cynical about it, I think.
Fair enough. We don't know at this point. I mean,
yeah.
I may be giving them too much credit. It may just be that they go nowhere with this. But I guess we'll have to see. There's still like how many more episodes this season?
7 or no, wait, 15. So 8 more episodes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah,
I was wondering how they were gonna do a 15 episode season, but it's basically 2 completely separate shows almost at this point.
Yeah.
They are gonna go back though, because they did mention that the cloaking device, the what do you call it, the tech that they got from the previous episode for the cloaking device, they have to go back and give it to Starfleet, or else it's, you know, or they're basically sitting ducks is what they said, right? So
or maybe Captain Killy gave it to them or something, I don't know.
Yeah, so they aren't going to stay here forever, but we are going to get like another bunch of episodes based in the mirror universe. So
I think the one interesting thing for me was the whole mysterious emperor thing, and like it might be Captain it might be Captain Giorgio. I have a feeling it might be Giorgio, you know, if they can afford to bring that actress back.
Or they could go for cheap laughs and just put Dwight Schrute back.
Yeah, they could put Harry Mother. That would be interesting.
No. Though, in all seriousness, though, Giorgio would be a good choice, right?
I suppose, yeah. No, but that would be the point where because it's a mysterious, it's like a bizarre. It's not like the Federation where information. There's only a little bit of information. Otherwise, it's a sort of open Wikipedia society where everyone can access any info they want. Where in the Empire, obviously, there's a thing where certain people don't know info. So
it's a firewall. It's like
So like the Emperor would be like, no, because the fact that all the Empire's technology is based on the fact that the Defiant, which was mentioned in the show, went back in time from 10 years after Discovery to Enterprise time in the Mirror Universe, and basically they reverse engineered it, and that's how the Terran Empire conquered the galaxy apparently. So like the Empire, the higher ups in the Empire know exactly who the Federation are because they reverse engineered the Defiant. It's the Defiant's their source of all their power. I mean, it gave them the technical edge over everyone. So obviously it's might still exist. So. And they'll guard it with their lives, and they'll make it sure it's a secret from even most of the Empire. So they meet the Emperor, and they meet like higher up admirals or whatever. They'll know who the Federation are, and you know that'll be interesting. So that's why they probably won't do it. But
no, I mean they might do it later on because obviously this Emperor is someone of note. I mean they didn't just name drop them for no reason, right?
Yeah.
So there's probably going to be some interaction later on where people from the Terran universe recognize the people from Discovery, and it probably is going to be somebody from the Emperor's close knit circle.
In fact, they'll know exactly who the Discovery crew are because the Defiant would have logs on all the Discovery's missions.
Although they might still think that they're the Discovery from this universe, right? It depends how good the cover is, right?
Well, I realize most of the Empire people we've met up to this point are quite stupid, but like, I mean, they'll meet a wily person eventually who will realize who exactly they are, and then the shoe will be in the other foot. So up until this point, the Discovery basically has one over on the Empire people because they have the info in them. But then the Empire, the higher ups in the Empire will be like, we know exactly who you are, and you know where you come from and who you are and things like that. So that would be quite cool. So, but I expect it to be just shoved aside for some more fuck plot, you know. Yeah,
more romance. That's what people want. Anything else you want to mention from this episode, or should we wrap it up?
No. What about you?
No, I think for me it was fun. I'm excited to see where it goes, but I could definitely see why it's lacking in certain areas, and we don't know if it's really, I mean, because it's more of a slow burn. We'll have to see.
For me, it's just the same problems. The writers refuse to world build, like, because it's you know.
Yeah.
I mean, another series, like the big sort of science fiction series argument going on is Discovery versus Orville. You know, the Seth MacFarlane type sci-fi. I realize you haven't watched it, but like that's
more like focused on. Well, in fairness, that's its own universe, right? So it has to world build. It has to like set the pillars, the foundation. Whereas this show,
what I'm saying is that Orville doesn't world build either.
Oh, it doesn't. Okay.
No, both of them like while at the same time there's this argument because both have dramatically different tones, and both of them kind of allude to Star Trek in their way. So the Star Trek Discovery's got the name. Seth MacFarlane loves Star Trek apparently, so he kind of the Orville really hits the same beats all the time. Both of them, like unlike the Star Trek Next Generation, maybe Voyager to an extent, DS9 certainly did that. Both of them refuse to create a world. Like they refuse to say, oh, this empire's bigger than that empire, this small empire, this is his past, this is what he did, this is where that empire is, this is where this is, and you know, and like, there seems to be a rejection of that.
That's why they need to let us mod TV shows, more or less.
Yes, exactly.
Expand the universe.
So yeah, I mean, like, here it's like, because it feels like they didn't take the opportunity to write anything new about the world of the Mirror Universe. They're just taking stuff from Enterprise, and with the Agonizer, they're taking stuff from the original series. You know, there's no... Like, if they did my idea where they said, if they brought some Imperial officer on board, and he basically had an argument with a moral argument with the Federation officer, be that Michael or something like that, they would need to world build.
Yeah, I do think that is a definite valid point. We'll see if they fill in more of the blanks or add a little bit more going forward, but that's it for this episode. Join us next week where hopefully the show will add some more world building. They'll listen to Noctium's request because they're obviously listening to this podcast.
I should think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Of our 100 views, like 10 of them are the writers for the show. So guaranteed changes to be added midstream. But if not, eventually in the future, maybe we'll have modded TV shows and we could fix them ourselves.
That would be good. A creation club for TV shows.
Yeah. Maybe in the Mirror Universe that actually happens. So we'll just find a way to get into that. All right. So
all right, I'll see you guys next week.
All right. Ariane, is that you?
Hello. How are you?
You sound like a Polish person.
Really? That's interesting.
That's what the accent was, or no?
It was me saying hello weirdly into the microphone because my throat kind of hurts because
okay.
I almost threw up in my mouth at the gym because I haven't been to the gym in 2 months and I decided to do my regular routine and it was not a good idea. Because I'm an idiot.